Hey, film fans, we're the Mirko Movie Guys. I'm Clint Chadford, and this is my buddy Chad Weeks.
And we're a couple guys who like movies and like to talk about movies. Clint, tonight we have the team from the paranormal, or the Grey Duck Paranormal, who visited our little town of Keithsburg. And I'm pretty excited about this one. Like, this is a local haunt. Sounds like it was an exciting one. So I'm
They
ready to get
visited
into
the
it.
lodge in Keithsburg, right?
Yeah, Masonic Lodge right behind the Eagle's Nest. Yeah, so yeah.
This is going to be an exciting one. I'm just excited to hear about folks that are looking at the other side.
I love it. That's cheesy, but that's Clint cheesy. You're a hoot. You're a hoot.
All right. Well, with that, grab your drinks,
You fill up your popcorn,
and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having us.
Yeah, our pleasure. Do you guys want to take a round here and introduce yourselves? And Aaron, I will be upset if you don't introduce that good boy sitting behind you as well. Yeah.
Good girl.
Good girl. There you go. Same. Yeah.
Aaron, go ahead first. You got the dog, so.
All right. I'm Erin. I am the little sister. And behind me here, this is Winter. Actually just picked her up from Tennessee this past weekend.
Oh, nice.
Grady and I and my sister-in-law made the trip down to Tennessee Saturday, picked her up, drove back to Minnesota on Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
she's exhausted from the trip, I can tell.
Yes.
That is quite the distance to go right there. That's a lucky little puppy right there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was. It's 1,000% worth it. She is an angel. So
good. Grady Griffin.
Well, I'm Grady. As Aaron suggested, I'm her older brother. I'm the eldest, so you all better watch it. I live up here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I don't know. I guess that's about all that's interesting for me. So,
and you had more people on your team. Is it all family that do this?
No. It's us three. We're the family kind of portion of the team. And then your wife. So I guess she's family too. So she does it, and then we have a couple friends that come with us too. Kind of alternate in and out of the different investigations that we're on. So altogether, we have 8. Is it 8 people or so? Yeah, regular. So yeah.
And I feel like I'm rapid firing questions at you here, but what is you do? Like, let's talk about that. How do you define what it is?
You skipped over Griffin though.
Yeah.
Like you gotta let everybody introduce themselves, Chad.
I got the dog. I was worried about the dog. Once we got past winter, I didn't care too much about. I apologize for that.
That's the most important one. So
yeah.
Look at the time. It's like we're all done. No, my name is Griffin Hughes. I'm the video editor on this team. I'm the
co-founder,
middle child of this strange trio. Yeah, that's me.
So now, when you say video editor, is that like videographer as well, or are you all in post, or are you doing the whole thing?
I'm doing the whole thing. So we have Grady and I will operate the video cameras when we're at a location, and then we have a number of different little static cameras that we put around just on bookshelves or tripods or whatever. When we get home, we transfer all the footage, any audio stuff that we have from audio recorders. We put it all on a hard drive, and then between the two of us, we review all of it. We get it arranged in Adobe Premiere so that it's chronologically all set up exactly as it happens when we're on location. And we flip through, we mark every sound, any kind of visual thing that we have, and then we start cutting it down to an hour-long thing. So,
wow.
That's what I do.
Wow. I would imagine that just is an incredibly time consuming. I know how long it takes to, edit an hour long podcast when we only have like an hour and 20, worth of footage. I would imagine you're talking about hours worth of footage.
Yeah, it's usually, if we're at a location for 8 hours, we have probably 4 cameras and probably 4 audio recorders that, some of them we cut and roll on. Some I try to keep rolling the entire night. But yeah, it's, 40
What's the turnaround on
hours.
that?
It's getting longer. The first
Those
one
ours.
was
Those ours.
Yeah.
I just want to shame Glenn a little bit here, and that's
Yeah.
Oh,
are
no.
you wanting to hire? Are you wanting a job?
I totally knew where you were going with
I
that
know,
too,
I couldn't
Chad.
wait.
That was,
The
I just
first
felt
video-
the insults coming right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I know. No, I get that too. The first video took about a month. It was pretty rudimentary. And then as I increase complexity, I incorporate, I redraw the floor plan in Photoshop and I animate it all in
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Effects.
Yeah.
So if you don't watch our video for the ghost stuff, there's a lot of work that goes into animating little subtitles and text tags and
Yeah.
I have some more questions around some of the equipment and stuff that you're using, including some of the video and microphone. But I would love to, where Chad was going before Griffin introduced himself. Let's tell the audience, what do y'all do? What are we talking about here?
And also, the reason that we found these guys is because they stayed here in Keithsburg. So they're this is a local type of haunt or whatever you want to call it, and so that's why this really tripped my trigger, and that's why we're talking here tonight. So we're really excited about that factor too. But yes, what is it exactly you guys do?
So we are a paranormal investigation team. Our team name is Grey Duck Paranormal. Loosely based in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. So we kind of travel around the Midwest. Later this summer, we'll be traveling outside of the Midwest to explore reportedly haunted locations, and through audio and video evidence and personal experiences and whatever else you can think of, try and show evidence that something else exists beyond, our normal realm, So, but yeah, we just kind of explore these haunted locations, and it's a lot of fun. So,
how many have you done so far?
Well, I know you mentioned the Keithsburg investigation. That was our 8th investigation so far, I think. 7th or 8th. I'll have
It was
to
my
think.
second.
Yeah, well, it was your second.
Yeah.
I'll have to think as we're talking here, but I think it was our 7th or 8th. So
you've done,
Aaron. It's all downhill from here. I mean, you hit the top at Keithsburg, so
Yes.
Oh, that's not a joke, actually.
Yeah.
I think everybody on the team at some point since we got back has said that's the most intense experience we've had.
Really?
Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we've been to some pretty interesting locations. Nothing super crazy, but some pretty weird places. So it was a little bit of a surprise that it was that intense, honestly. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I have a question before we get into the paranormal investigation. I found out something the other day. All of y'all up in Minnesota use a term, and I feel like this is part of the name, Grey Duck.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that when you play Duck Duck Goose,
No.
it is not Duck Duck Goose. It is Duck Duck Grey Duck. Is that right?
Yes.
That is absolutely 100% correct, and that's
That
kind
is
of where
the
we got our
correct-
name from. So,
yeah.
yeah.
There are 49 other states that would argue with you on this.
Yeah.
49
That's
of them.
exactly why we picked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
wild that's your name, because I literally
yeah.
just saw this 4 days ago, and it blew my mind.
So
So,
you weren't researching this for this top. I thought you were really
No.
just outdoing yourself, doing some background checking, and that's where they got it, because I researched this name deeply. While I
that would have
wasn't
been a
editing
cool
our
story,
last
but no, that was probably just a TikTok find right there. So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
I
read it somewhere.
I remember in
The internet
school,
was listening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, right. I remember in school, going back to grade school, playing Duck Duck Grey Duck, in school. So yeah, it's.
Yep.
I don't know. It's weird. I'll admit it's freaking weird, but
Yeah.
here we are.
It's a conversation starter, just like now.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
We actually came up with the name on the way to our first investigation. So
Yep.
we were going to be called Hughes Haunts.
Mhm.
So in the future, when we're famous, it'll be a Trivial Pursuit question.
Nice.
I love that.
But we figured not everybody in the group was of the Hughes family, so
Yeah.
we wanted to be a little more inclusive, but also kind of pay homage to where we're all from.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hence the Grey Duck kind of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah,
Juicy
That is
Lucy
cool.
Haunts just didn't sound right.
Yeah. Yeah.
that would have been a good
That's
one
right.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did it? I mean, but I want to get into your experiences. I want to get into all this, but I also want to start from the beginning. How did you start doing this? Like, do you wake up one day and you're just like, man, I heard some weird noises last night. I'm going to start researching this. Like, how do you get into being a paranormal investigator?
Well, I'll start. Griff, you can maybe follow me, but I know throughout my lifetime I've had some unexplained experiences that I would consider maybe paranormal in nature. It's something I've always kind of been, generally interested in. I grew up watching, like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, kind of the famous TV shows that are out there. And combined with my few experiences that I've had, I guess it's just something that I've always kind of been interested in. We've always kind of joked that, God, wouldn't it be cool if we just put together a team or something and did this for fun, or God forbid someday for a living. But so finally we just kind of bit the bullet. Griff, do you want to finish that story?
I mean, yeah. So for me, I haven't really had any paranormal experiences, but like Grady and like Aaron, watching Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, you see stuff on social media. Everybody has a ghost story. Everybody knows somebody that's stayed overnight in a haunted house or whatever. And I had always wondered, when people say like you can just feel it, there's something about the atmosphere, you can feel an energy. I don't know what that means. So last year, my wife and I were watching Project Fear, and at one point during one of the episodes we said, how do these guys get in anywhere? How does anybody go anywhere?
Yeah.
So then we just Googled it. Turns out you can rent Edinburgh Manor for a night and then just investigate it. And the owner's like, yeah, bring whatever equipment you want. Good luck.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So we got the friends together and planned a day to go down to Iowa to a place called Edinburgh Manor, and spent the night there and investigated it and did our thing. So that was kind of the start of our crazy story. So.
And I was finishing cancer treatment at that
Yep.
time, and just suddenly one day got a Discord invite. And it was just
Nice.
like a Grey Duck Paranormal like Discord group, and I was like, wait, what? I didn't even get like a text, a phone call. It was just a Discord invite. And it was like, hey, we're doing this thing, and we've already gone on a trip. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. It's kind of like the get in loser. We're going to go hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
This also sounds like the equivalent of like what a lot of people do with, like, you know what we should do? We should start a bar. We should start a band.
We should
or
start
a
a
podcast
band.
or whatever that is. And like you guys
Yeah.
are like, yeah, let's start a haunting. I love that. Love it.
Yeah.
So
It is exactly like that. Yeah. It's funny.
I mean, when you get into this, I would assume that there are also some overhead costs to this, whether it's equipment, there's also travel, you're booking places, right? Like, are you all self-funded? Do you got sponsors, like things of that nature?
Yeah, everything so far up to this point has been self-funded. Equipment, renting locations,
Airbnbs.
vehicles,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. We're paying for it completely out of pocket because we're enjoying it, we like it, we're interested in it, and like I said, maybe someday, if things go right, maybe we do something, where we get, generating revenue or something. But for now, it's just because we're passionate about it. So yeah.
Yeah, then we can pin this video up to the top of our page and be like, hey, look at what we did.
Yep.
Before they were famous.
You're
Yep.
part of the journey.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
so out of when you go to these places, you said, I think that there's like 8 of you.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the biggest scaredy cat out of your group?
Ooh.
That's a good
I
question.
was gonna say I see Aaron looking around sheepishly. I feel like we have a winner. Maybe a little Griffin.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You
Oh, okay.
were kind of the first. You were kind of the first one to go in the basement by yourself at Edinburgh.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you're pretty good, Aaron. I mean, you've gone into the basement now in 2 places by yourself. So I wouldn't say you. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think we're. I don't know. Is there one that pops out to you, Griff?
No.
I think we've all pretty much shown that we're, not really super afraid. Yeah, nobody really pops out to my mind, but I know we've all taken turns, going inside these places by ourselves,
Yep.
taking our equipment with us in there and just kind of being immersed in the atmosphere, taking it in, in the middle of the night, it's pitch black and you're in there with your video camera and just kind of sitting there and just taking it in. So I don't think any of us are really scared at this point. Yeah.
Not yet.
I mean, I'll say though, I've only done 2, but the first investigation we did, I was like, okay, you know what? That wasn't that bad. And then when we got to Keithsburg, when we got to, the lodge, it was like, as soon as we saw it, even just from the outside, I was like, hell no, I'm not going in there, And so during the light, when it was daytime, at least I did my solo when it was still light out. And even that was a little spooky, but had it been dark, I don't know if I would have been able to by myself, to be honest.
And I'll say, I think everybody has definitely, we're all scared, obviously, at some level.
Sure.
There's always that fear there. But as far as anybody refusing to go in the basement by themselves or anything like that, I don't think anybody's ever really had an issue with anything that we've done so far.
Right.
So I think everybody is pretty much on the same level. So yeah.
And we also, when we go into a location, we started this group with the kind of mantra that we want people to be scared. Well, we want people to be
comfortable.
We want that adrenaline to run, but we don't want people to worry about their safety.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if someone is really genuinely uncomfortable about doing something for whatever reason, then we don't make them do it.
Yep.
I don't want to push people. That's not the point of our group. The point is get a little adrenaline, do something that's a little outside the norm, and hopefully walk away with a new experience that makes you feel something.
So I'm hearing solos a lot. Is that part of your process? Do you have everybody go through each one of these places solo, by themselves? Is that what this is? I mean, you mean the basements and stuff, it sounds like, and
yeah. So up until Keithsburg, we've kind of, I guess, as far as solos are concerned, we've done it where everybody's kind of in the building, but somebody will go off on their own, maybe go to the basement on their own or something like that. That's been kind of our solo investigation point or aspect of it. In Keithsburg, we did try something a little different where we drew names out of a hat to see, the order in which people would go into the building by themselves.
Oh, wow.
The whole building.
The whole building
really?
by themselves. So, and then we set a time limit. So 20 minutes, each person would go in by themselves for 20 minutes and just, like I said, just kind of bring some equipment with them, soak it in, go to some different areas in the building, maybe talk out loud, as goofy as it sounds, talk out loud, try and get some stuff to happen. So, yeah.
So is the thought process that for the solo aspect, is that everybody will have, maybe a different connection or have a different experience when they walk into somewhere? Maybe they won't, that spirit won't relate if I walk in there, but if Aaron walks in, they relate. Or if Chad walks in, they relate, right? I mean, is that kind of the thought process behind the solo adventure?
Yeah, I also think that each person in our group has their own kind of style too, as far as asking questions, which rooms they want to go into, different equipment that they feel more comfortable using. And so I think that kind of adds to it as well. And also just the fact that when you're by yourself, you don't feel like this, I don't want to say peer pressure, but I felt like I was able to kind of just feel more relaxed, more free to ask questions that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
like that. So
It's not as embarrassing to yourself to like be talking to possibly yourself in the middle of a room
Yeah.
type of thing.
yeah.
You have to.
Yeah,
I get it.
there is there is definitely that.
Yeah.
I think depending on too, depending on what you believe, obviously, as far as like the paranormal goes, certain spirits may react differently to certain people. Different, some you hear about spirits in particular reacting differently to men versus women, or being more aggressive to men versus women, or something like that. Or so yeah, it's just kind of unfortunately just there's just not a lot known about solidly about the field, so you have to kind of just try almost anything you can think of, to just try and see what happens, do different things and just
It's almost
kinda
like you're bringing your own theories in, right?
Yeah.
Like,
a little bit
let's see if
you
this
can
works.
yeah you can certainly subscribe to other people's theories, like for example, one well-known group out there, Project Fear, their theory is that when you are alone in a location, or when you're a little more scared, your adrenaline's up, they believe that kind of feeds into some paranormal activity a little bit, or adds to it.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that I believe, maybe completely unfounded belief, I don't have any real basis in believing that, but it's just something that feels kind of right, I guess. So, but
I love the openness on everything here that you guys have, where it's not like this is the way, this is how it goes. It's more like we're just keeping our minds open, and we're just trying to figure out whatever works. If something happens, something happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And
yep.
The vibes you guys have with people is something that I've always believed in, because like in my growing up home, my family's had some different things. I never have, and I always said that's just because for whatever reason paranormal spirits have no reason to contact me or bother me in any way, shape, or form. Whatever energy or whatever that is, I don't have it. So, but I love that you guys are so open with everything. This is such a cool.
And, I mean, we even had at not this last one, but at the Mounds Theater, our second to last investigation, we had somebody that was, a full-blown skeptic with us, who said, I don't believe in any of this crap. And we just said, hey, you know what? That's awesome. Come with us, come into the theater with us, we'll see what happens. And to be honest, he left the theater saying, you know what, he's not sure if he believes it or not still, but he thought, he said, that was a really weird night, so we welcome that. We embrace all that kind of different mantras, different mindsets to that. So, yeah.
We're not here to talk about the theater, but you did pique my interest with that one, because
So one of the other things that I keep hearing you talk about is, the equipment that you're bringing in. We talked a little bit about some of the video aspect that you're utilizing. I would love to dive in. What is the equipment package that you're utilizing? I mean, are we like talking like, radio spectrum reader type of things, or is this all like microphones and videos? Like how are you trying to track all of this?
the Estes method. That's a buzz. Is it Estes? Is that what it is? That's a buzzword that my cousin Erica shared, and so I just want to throw that out there like I knew something.
Nice.
Yeah. I was actually impressed when you said that. I was like, whoa, you know your stuff.
I appreciate it. I do not. I just asked Erica because she said something about it. So all credit goes to Erica.
That is a real method. It was developed by, I think his name was Paul Pfeiffer, while he was investigating the Stanley Hotel in Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Hence the name Estes method, I believe. But yeah, that is one of the things that we do. Grady's getting some equipment out right now, but I'll start going through the list real quick. So our handheld camcorders are Canon XA60s.
You gotta do like the Vanna White, like.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, the advantage of this one is it's got a little IR switch, so you can go into night vision mode just with a really quick click. You don't have to turn the camera off or go into menus or anything. So that's super easy to do. Then we have a K2 meter, which is for EMF readings, which is everything has a electromagnetic field. Humans have them, a circuit, basically. Buildings have them in the wiring. It also is believed that spirits give off EMF. So
Okay.
when we're at a location,
Is that what
the
Egon
kind of
used?
general feeling. Say that again.
Is that what Egon used?
Kind of. Yeah, actually.
I was gonna say, I bet
So-
it is, right?
Yeah. So EMF, electromagnetic field. There's a couple beliefs that either spirits, when they're trying to manifest, will give off an EMF field. The other thing is that spirits can use a naturally occurring EMF field to draw energy from that in order to manifest. So there's kind of two kind of aspects.
That makes
to
sense.
That one.
This
So,
this is like, what was the movie where like they use like the television? Maybe Michael Keaton was in it. Am I
White Noise?
thinking of that?
Yeah, white noise. Wow, what a
White
Mm.
Noise.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't Michael Keaton, was it? It was
It was the actor from 24, wasn't it?
yeah.
no,
it
Oh,
was-
that's Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer
It's
Sutherland?
Oh,
Gary-
Kiefer Sutherland,
not
yeah.
Busey. Gary Sinise.
Yeah,
Louis
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But that wasn't that kind of the basis of that, right? Like they
Yeah.
were utilizing like the TV
Yes.
aspect or the waves or something.
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking of using the white noise, so this is a spirit box, as you can see there. It's a pretty
Okay.
standard spirit box. Basically, what it does is it'll rapidly sweep through radio stations, creating like a static white noise effect. And it's believed that spirits can manipulate that, speak through that. So words are great. If you get words through that, that's fine. But ideally, you pick up like full statements, because that means
Really?
it's
Mhm.
going through, multiple stations, but you're picking up like a full sentence. So
wow.
Or like intelligent responses.
or intelligent responses. So if you're saying, who's here, how many of you are here, kind of thing, and you get, 35 or something like that, and you're like, okay, well, that's creepy. So, but
And
yeah,
it-
so that's that little thing. So
Like is that tool right there? I would assume an EMF reader that you had before, like that's probably used in like other areas of the world, right? Like other industries. This other box that you were talking about, that scans the radio stations, is this developed specifically for paranormal investigations? Like, is that what this is for?
I would think so. It is. I don't know if you can see. Oh, it's backwards, but it is. It's called an SB7 Spirit Box.
Spirit box. Wow.
So, yeah, I think probably. I don't know what other use it would have. To be fair, so
I live
But-
in a 1908 house, which I'm sitting in the basement of right now.
That's cool.
Never bring that near my house, please. I don't want to know.
Well, I was gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, but the spirit box, does it like goes to the radio stations in reverse too, right?
well, you can set it to sweep forward or backwards, and then AM or FM too. So
Yeah.
yep.
Do you find, like, have you honed that skill of using that tool to where, like, forward or backwards, you kind of know what you're trying to look for, or know what the settings are, and the same thing like with AM FM, or is it kind of a crapshoot that you're like trying it all while you're in one of these?
Yeah, it's kind of a feel as you go. I mean, we can learn about how the piece of equipment works and what all the buttons do, but you never really know what you're going to get. There was in the St. Paul Theater, we were getting so much radio. I
Mhm.
was hearing songs on it, and I was like, well, that's not good. That's not what we want. But there's a few locations where when we're in the basement of these places, doesn't matter if the antenna's up or anything, it doesn't matter what settings you do, you're just getting static. There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
So it's just about testing out different frequencies and how quickly it sweeps through the radio stations. You can change how fast or slow and forward and backward.
Yep.
So sometimes it works great, and all of a sudden you get, it's quiet for 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden it says something about the location. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What was that?
Wow.
It's super surprising sometimes.
That's gotta send chills down your spine the first time you start hearing things like this.
There's been a few times where we've picked up, like phrases on that thing, and sitting in the damp, dark basement in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, and you get, like
Get
he's
out
coming or something like
or
that.
he's coming, yeah.
Through there, and you're like, who's coming? Like what? So
That's what you heard was get out and he's coming?
yeah.
That gave me chills, and I'm safe in my house right now.
Yeah.
That's scary.
My sleep is ruined tonight already.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
At the very first investigation, we were split up. So it was me and my friend Wes on one side of the building, and Grady and our other friend Brandon was on the complete other side of the building. And Wes and myself were asking questions, and Brandon and Grady had the spirit box going on the other side of the building. So the thought is, you split it up. We ask questions to see if they get relevant responses. And one of the questions that Wes had asked was, "Are we safe here?
Yeah.
We hear that there is a dark entity in the basement. Are we safe here?" And about 30 seconds later, over a walkie-talkie, Brandon says, "We just got the word safe through the radio."
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, wow.
what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I get that.
That's better than Get Out.
You know, yeah.
I was gonna say, that's like best case scenario right there.
Yeah.
And obviously the skeptic, will say, well, it's probably, a radio station, a song coming through saying, happen to say the word safe. And that's certainly a possibility. We're not discounting that at all. And that's part of the reason why, one word responses are a little less cool, but, certainly it is interesting. So.
Yeah, but only a certain number of coincidences can happen, right? I mean, at some point, right? I mean, you can use that argument. You can say, hey, the radio station caught like this word.
Yep.
In the same sense, you could say, it may have been the radio station saying it, but did they tune it to that for that reason at that moment? I mean, like, there's like all sorts of like interesting reasons why you may hear that word, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing that we use with that is this little bag that I created here. So it's called, the cloth is called Faraday.
Faraday cloth. Yeah.
Yep.
So that blocks out, radio signals and stuff like that. So in theory, it's just creating more of that static, more of that white noise effect.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
So yeah,
that is cool. So what about like microphones? Are you trying to get like hypersensitive microphones set around? Okay, there you go. Recorder.
So we got probably a total of 5 or 6 of these, honestly, now. Just these voice recorders where you can either set them somewhere and just let them record all night, which we do sometimes. You can do, like an ask and response kind of thing where you're just holding it and asking questions. The thought is that spirits communicate at a different frequency that our ears can't hear, but somehow the recorders are able to pick up, words and phrases and stuff like that. The one thing that gives me kind of chills was in our first investigation still at Edinburgh, when you guys caught the word or the phrase, you and Wes.
Yeah.
And it said, what?
Help me.
And it's not, certainly there's background noise on these things. It's picking up a lot of just ambient noise and stuff like that, the wind and stuff like that. But when you hear, a whispered voice, clear as day, reviewing this, and it says, help me, there's only so many ways that you can take that. So
Yeah.
it's wild. It's wild, especially when you're reviewing it and you're just sitting there with your headphones on and you hear all of a sudden just help me. And you're like, Jesus, so I don't know.
So here's another question. Like, when you guys go on these, do you actually sleep? Like, do you sleep there? Like, cause that's what I'm like, you're doing this investigation, but are you actually going to sleep? Cause I was thinking, I'm like, do you bring a 12-pack of beer and you guys are having a few beers while you're doing this? Do you play cards? What do you do all night?
We have not. There's certainly teams out there that do at some point in the evenings go to bed, go to sleep, and and that is part of that is part of their investigative method. Sometimes, if you go to sleep and just let a camera roll, something will happen. We have not slept in a location yet. We've been too amped up, honestly.
Okay.
We've
I have trouble
investigated.
sleeping.
Yeah, I mean, we've investigated, throughout the whole night so far, unless for some reason, like, we had to leave early, from Edinburgh that one time when I had the flight the next day and stuff. But
I feel like I would eventually sleep after I got so exhausted from crying.
Yeah.
Like, I would eventually, my body would just shut down.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, that's surprise. I mean, that's kind of what I felt like before we started this.
Mhm.
Like I thought, holy crap, I'm gonna get my pants at some of these places. And it's amazing that when you're there in the moment, and not necessarily you have people with you, but you know you got a couple friends with you or whatever. There's a certain, I don't know, there's a certain thing that kind of takes over. I don't know if it, you know, maybe it's just adrenaline or what, but
Fight or flight.
I haven't run out of a location yet screaming, so I don't know, you know.
I mean, I left, but then I came back later.
Well, yes.
You did leave, Aaron. Just
we did. I was going to say,
left,
in Keithsburg, we did have to take a break. Yeah.
Really?
Grady and I did. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm ready to get into Keithsburg if you are, Glenn.
That's what I was going to say. I think we need to transition to Keithsburg. I would love y'all to set this up of a couple things here.
Okay.
How did you hear about this? Like, how did you hear about Keithsburg, right?
Yeah.
But tell us what this building is, because Chad, is this the building right behind the Eagle's Nest?
Yes, sir.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So tell us what this building has been used for. Why is it haunted? Like, give us that whole rundown of why did you pick this building and travel all the way from Minneapolis to come to Keithsburg?
So yeah. So shout out to the Eagle's Nest. Amazing food. That was awesome. They're so cool there.
Before we go any further, did you try the Angry Eagle? Did anybody try the Angry Eagle?
Oh,
I don't know what that
so
is.
good.
Yeah, we don't. What is it?
That's the
Was it
burger. That's the burger that I
Oh.
created back when we first opened. Yeah, I was bartending there, and it's
Wow.
it's got jalapenos and habanero mayo and onion tanglers and
My mouth is watering.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's so good. It's so good.
That's kind of up your alley. Did you?
Yeah.
I don't even remember seeing that.
No.
So
Yeah.
So good.
Salsa, it's great. It's great.
well, next
But anyway.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll
Yes.
go back. So next time
Yeah.
we're definitely trying that. So
Yeah.
I have to go back.
But anyway, so I found it online. I found it on Facebook. So the owner of a somewhat famously haunted location up here in Minnesota called the Boyd House actually recently purchased the Masonic Lodge there in Keithsburg.
Yep.
For the intent of, you know, opening it up for paranormal investigators to come in and stuff like that. And she's done a great job of cleaning up the inside, making it safe to be in there. I think it was pretty kind of run down inside before she got in there and kind of cleaned it up. So she's done a really nice job. But so I saw, like, I think I was probably one of the first people to see that she had bought it and had put it up for, you know, people to sign up to go and investigate it. And I was like, right away when I saw it, I was like, oh, this place looks really cool. And I sent it to you. And I was like, we need to get into this place. So
I paid her.
Yep.
Later.
Yep.
I sent her a message. The moment he sent it over, I was like, yeah, we're looking for stuff to do.
Love it.
Yeah.
Now, quick question here. When you reach out and you find this place, first off, you said it's a like a Freemasons lodge. Is that like a Masonic lodge?
Yes.
Correct.
Wow.
Yep. And it was a Masonic lodge where they did, you know, meetings, ceremonies, whatever
Rituals.
Masons do, I guess. Rituals.
Yeah.
Prior to that, reportedly it was a hotel. What was the name of it?
Did it start with like an A?
Yeah.
Was it like Albert or something?
Dang it. I'm
This is
blanking on
something
it right
I should
now,
know, and you should be able to point at me, and I should tell you this, but I do not
So
know.
it was a hotel before it was a lodge.
So
Yep.
so the building
Okay.
was originally built in the mid 1800s, and it was a hotel for a bit. And then after the hotel closed, then the Masons took it over and did their things there. So
Okay. And the other question I was going to ask, so you find this online.
Yep.
Looks cool, has a history. Sounds like it's owned by somebody who is right up your guys' alley anyway, right? Who probably purchased it for the same interest, right?
Yep.
Exactly. Griffin, you talked about you reached out to her.
Mhm.
Do you have to pay to do this? Like, is this like are you like, do you rent like that time, or is that you rent these 2 days or something, like you rent an Airbnb type of deal?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said he paid her.
Okay. I thought that's what he said, but I was just wanting to elaborate a little bit. Like, is there like an Airbnb for like, haunted places that I'm going to or something? Or is this just like literally you find it and you DM her and you go? So
Yeah.
A lot of these places, what they'll do is they'll set up a website with contact information. Sometimes they have like, PayPal or whatever set up on site. Or I think with Edinburgh, I think you have to contact her first and then she sends a link to pay her. But ultimately, we just reached out and we said, we're a little group of friends and this is kind of what we're doing. We're from Minnesota. We want to check this place out. And she said, we just opened, so we'll get you in.
Are you the first ones to investigate it?
Like the third.
We're I think we're the third group. They had a little guest book there in the building where people, signed, hey, we're so and so. This is what happened while we were here, blah blah blah. So I think we were the third. So
Wow. And is there any history to this place of like, did a murder happen here or like, something crazy that anybody knows of? Like, is there any like weird history besides it being a hotel and a lodge? Like, do we know of any like nefarious activity that happened in this building?
Surprisingly, no. Other than just kind of the mysterious background, obviously with the Mason, they're kind of secretive organization that they are. And then the hotel, obviously, stuff happens at hotels, but nothing solid, nothing like, murders or suicides or anything like that came up in any research or anything. So surprisingly, the funny thing about hauntings is you don't necessarily need to have, mass murder, for a place to be haunted. A good example is one of our investigations that we did up in Hibbing, Minnesota at the Greyhound Bus Museum. Nobody's been killed there, but there's just a lot of history, because they have the Greyhound buses there that ran, across the country, carrying people cross country from the early 1900s all the way up, till 10 years ago or whatever.
It's like you're bringing the stories of those buses into that building almost.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but long story short, nothing that we could find really about the Masonic Lodge said, there's been murder here or anything like that. So I'm not sure. So
wasn't there a rivalry between the Masonic Lodge and it's like the Oddfellows group in the building not too far from there? I don't know if you guys heard about this or not, but this is something that there was some sort of like, there were both these secret society type of things, and the other one would have been in like the old Smitty's upstairs, Clint. They up there they have like a big platform or something like that where I thought it was the Oddfellows group, and like the main guy sat at that one at this. I don't know. I'm going to be slaughtering it any way I do it, but because I have no way of fact checking this other than people telling me about it. But
they're both a part of secret societies and they know about each other. They need to get better at keeping secrets.
Yes.
It's not very secret if everybody knows about it.
But there was something about the way that the Oddfellows held the positioning of their chairs away from the Masonic Lodge to like avoid because I don't know. Again, this is all just Keithsburg lore, and I just kind of.
Maybe they had their backs to them at all times or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. They organized it so that they weren't looking at them or that they were keeping an eye on them or something like that, because it was kind of a rival secret society type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
anyway. I don't think we had heard about that at any point, so that's interesting.
When we post this, we'll probably get some feedback from people that'll be like, "No, Chad, you're an idiot. It was this." Please,
these stupid idiots.
We'll put the Chad
actually
was wrong
face
again.
at them to keep them in their sights the whole time. I mean, come on. So without giving spoilers, because of course, Griffin's gonna edit all this, and y'all are gonna release a big video here.
Yeah.
But without giving spoilers, give us like something of like what was something that was a little surreal that happened in Keithsburg at the lodge that made it such an epic adventure.
So, all right. So we got into town.
All right.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here's a play-by-play.
So we got into town the night before at about 11 p.m. actually. And we went to
the bar.
Went to the bar across the street.
Is it like Off the Hook or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Off the Hook. Yep. And we didn't even realize.
Shout out to them too.
Yeah, shout out to them too.
Yep.
We didn't even realize that the building was like right across the street there at first. So we went in the bar, started having a beer or whatever, and I went out back and I was like, there it is. Okay. Really creepy looking at night, by the way.
Yeah.
So that kind of got us amped up because it's creepy as heck looking. The next day, then we got into the building itself at about 3:30 in the afternoon. So, while it was still daylight, definitely our first impression walking in did have kind of a weird atmosphere in there. I said, even though like I said before, it had been cleaned up very nice, everything's, swept and stuff in there now and stuff. Even with that though, there was, I don't know, just kind of a weird feeling in there. Like
when, okay, I got to interrupt. I'm sorry. But like when you say weird feeling, when you're walking in, is it like something you're walking into like a fog or something, like you feel it almost like, is that kind of the thought here?
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of like you walk in and the atmosphere is just kind of heavy. And whether that's just because maybe the windows haven't been opened in forever, I don't know, but it just kind of had a heavy feeling, like something, like when you walk into a room and there's a bunch of people there already and they all kind of stop and look at you and you're kind of like, oh, hi, So just kind of an uncomfortable gut feeling, I guess, more than anything. I guess the one thing that stands out to me was when we were doing our Estes method in what we called the dining room there, where it has like some dining room tables set up with some chairs. So I had the spirit box running with a set of headphones on. So I was hearing the white noise and the stuff coming through, the radio stations. And your wife, Rachel, was asking questions.
She was on the other side of the room.
She was on the other side of the room. So I had headphones on. I had my head down like this, and I was just completely just ignoring everybody. I had my eyes closed, wasn't paying attention, couldn't hear anything, see anything, whatever. We got, from what I understand, I still haven't seen the video, but a number of pretty intelligent responses to questions that Rachel was asking. Then I'd hear the voice then in my headphones, things like Rachel would say, do you want us to leave or something? And I would say, get out or something, So something was pretty intelligently responding, it seemed like.
And they wanted you out?
Yeah. So we had a number of responses that were, along that same vein, like get out or, leave or something like that. There were a number of very aggressive responses, like, I don't know how I can swear on this program, but
for this one we'll let it go.
I can beep them out. So
yeah,
there was a few that said like, and
really?
That doesn't go over the airways, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's not FCC approved. So
right. and when you kind of think about it, you go, okay, so Rachel's asking the questions. She's a female. We're inside kind of a male only secret society club kind of thing. Are they not happy that she's here?
Yeah.
So, but there was about 4 or 5 times where something similar to that would come through, and half the time I didn't even say it just because I was just like, okay, I'm not cussing her out, So, but and the whole time I was hearing this, I kept feeling the floorboards behind me shifting, like somebody was pacing behind me.
Really?
It got to the point where I had to take off the headphones. I just said, I'm done. I started to feel physically ill, and Aaron started feeling sick.
I was sitting right. Yep, I was sitting right next to Grady through this whole thing, and
we both felt sick. We both felt sick, and I didn't tell anybody this, but I went into the bathroom out back in the porta potty and I puked my guts out.
Really?
So,
man.
So again, the skeptic says, well, you got your adrenaline going, you got, weird feelings going on, your stomach's getting all tied in a knot, whatever. The believer says, well, you're being affected by some kind of spirit,
Yeah.
However you want to interpret it.
So let me ask a skeptic question here real quick. I would assume that a skeptic would say, when you have your headphones on and you're listening to white noise, it's very similar. If you've ever heard of these people that go into the ultra soundproof rooms and their mind will start playing tricks on them and they hear stuff, right? And they say it's so quiet that you're actually hearing your inner thoughts, basically out loud is almost what it sounds like, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Would someone say that, Grady, you're so focused on trying to hear something and you're listening to all that white noise, and that's all, like, you're just in your own head, and it's you hearing yourself manufacture? Like, is that like the skeptic's thought process at that point?
That could be part of it for sure. And I'm not sure that there's a good way to eliminate that, unfortunately. The idea, obviously, with the Estes method is somebody else is asking the questions and I unable to hear what the questions are,
if they relate, then they gotta it's gotta be them, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
To your point though, am I hearing maybe what I want to hear? Am I hearing, oh, it'd be really spooky if I heard Get Out,
Oh yeah.
maybe, I that's not something that I can discount, unfortunately. All we can do is do our best to try and eliminate as many variables as possible. Like when we're not doing the headphone thing, we're just letting the spirit box run, just bursting out loud. We record those sessions, so it's on camera, so you can hear, that phrase just said "Get Out." You can hear that on the camera. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
Do you believe you got ill? Right. I mean, you said you got ill, and I would say that I would. My argument to any skeptic on this would be like, you probably know your own body and how you react to other times you've had adrenaline, and you're probably not doing this, which is why this felt very unique and very odd, right?
Yeah.
But is that like this, like, in your mind, is this the spirit like reaching into you and like grabbing your stomach and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is this is this like that weird? Like,
or
that
just like, is it just you're so scared you're making yourself sick? Is that, I guess, is what I'm. Yeah, I agree.
I can't discount that. All I can say is, I've certainly been in other very adrenaline induced, situations before where I haven't gotten physically ill. I've had, I used to work in retail security, and I've had weapons pulled on me. I had a gun pulled on me once, knives. I've had a guy try and chase me with a knife. All those kind of situations. I've never gotten physically ill, really? From the adrenaline rushes.
But Aaron got ill too, right? Like that I feel is like the other side of this is like somebody else is having the exact same effects of you, not hearing the things that you're hearing, or not feeling the floorboards that you're feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that
Correct.
to me is almost adding that portion into makes it even creepier.
Yeah.
Aaron,
yeah.
Sorry, I'd like to hear what Aaron had to say about that too. Like at that time, like what was Aaron's going through at this moment? Like, because I'm sure
absolutely.
So it's interesting because Grady, like he said, hasn't like reviewed, the tapes or anything. And so I'm hearing the questions that Rachel's asking, and I'm hearing the responses that Grady's getting through the spirit box. And a lot of them were very intelligent. So Grady said that he felt like the floorboards behind him moving. There was a doorway behind him where he was sitting that led into another room. A lot of things, Rachel was saying, like, go touch Grady or go close the door, show us that you're here. And like, as soon as she said, go close the door, like 2-3 seconds later, Grady whipped his headphones off and he was like, I literally felt like someone was standing right behind me. And it's like, you can't replicate that. Like, and it was interesting, like sitting there, it's like, we're all just sitting around these tables and this is happening. I'm sitting, right next to Grady. And as this is happening, it was like almost like I had like this film like go over my face. It felt almost like I was sleepwalking for a moment, and then I went into like full-blown like anxiety attack, and about that same time then Grady was like, I need to stop, and he and I both went outside and sat outside, and we were like, we just need to take a freaking break.
So whatever it was, you were both feeling something and not comfortable in that situation. Like, I mean, like, that's the bottom line. Neither one of you want to be in that building any longer. Like,
yes,
I don't feel like there's any way to shape that other than, I mean, one person is a thing, but two people, that's impressive. So
I'm never going to Keithsburg again.
I want to go back.
You guys are talking about solos, and I'm thinking I don't want to go to my basement alone. So I can spend 20 minutes in my basement alone.
Man,
if you watch the teaser that we put out on our YouTube channel, I think you posted on the Facebook as well.
Yeah, we'll add that
a
link too. I have not seen that, so
you catch a snippet of that moment where Grady whips his headphones off, and you hear Aaron say, "I'm shaking right now."
Yep.
And then in that moment when they run out, I'm standing in the room by myself, and I say, "I'm so fucking uncomfortable right now."
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the energy in that building. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is like at 11 o'clock is where this is when this started. This is kind of where things started to ramp up, and that's the time frame of this.
It was about 1 a.m.
Yeah, this was about 1 or 2 a.m. The storm hadn't come through quite yet, right?
Right. The band had just
stopped.
stopped.
The band had just stopped.
Yeah.
Across the street, they had a band playing out in the parking lot, so that was fun to deal with. But the storm. We had a severe thunderstorm come through afterwards, actually. But so it was in that 1 o'clock range. But
yeah.
So I have this is more of a general question, not just on Keithsburg here.
Sure.
But I would imagine when you are, Keithsburg's a little different. You said like you don't know if anything like, a murder happened or something of that nature. I'm going to assume the longer that you're doing this, you're going to be in places where nefarious acts have happened, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What, like, do you have to prepare for just ethically, prepare when you go into that? Like, what ethical considerations do you have when you go into an investigation like this? Because I mean,
great question.
If you know something bad has happened and you know that, distress has been there, is there an ethical consideration or a thought process that goes into that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, we've touched on this quite a bit. Later this fall, we've discussed this a few times, but specifically later this fall, we're going to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. 30,000 people have died there. And then we're hitting
Waverly
Hills, where another 60,000 people have died from tuberculosis and other horrible medical things. And the big thing for us is anytime we go into a location, we want to make sure that we show respect to the building, show respect to the building owners, the people who let us, we're paying to be there, but we're following their rules. I don't want to break those rules. No alcohol, no drugs, none of that. We go in, we show respect for any spirits that may be there. Mm-hmm. We're there to try and collect evidence to see if there is something really there. And for some of these bigger investigations or some of these, maybe smaller locations where something really terrible has happened, we do have to remember that these were at one point living people. And for us to go in there and be like, woo, it's all fun and games. It does feel not like us. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go into a cancer ward or a hospital now and just celebrate.
Yep.
Or
act like a jackass, or
Yeah, I'm not going to go in somewhere where somebody is struggling with a health issue and be like, "You want to fight me, bro? Let's go."
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it to spirits. That is, we don't want to glorify what happened to these people in these places. It is a kind of weird, twisted fascination, morbid curiosity, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it is something that we as a team, we talk about it a lot. We're not going to go in there and celebrate any of these things. We want to experience what these locations have to offer and
just talk to the spirits that are there and learn, obviously, if you believe it or not, learn what they experience and respectfully ask them, what happened, and just kind of just be there with them. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that response. Like, I believe you when you're talking about that. Like, that's so genuine, and I believe that. I love that. It kind of reminds me of like with history and stuff like that. Like, how long do you have to be dead before it goes from grave robbing to history or research or whatever? You know what I mean? Like when you're excavating mummies and things like that, and you see them in a museum, it's like, what? They weren't. That's not the way we intended this to be. That sort of thing. So
yeah.
So that's a great response. So I got another question, and this is like, do you have any more anything else to add about Keithsburg before I kind of transition away from that? I mean, I know there's a lot, and I don't want to spoil your episode either, but if you have anything else you'd like to add, that would be.
I would just say that after we got home, I emailed the owner and I said we had a really amazing night there. I mean, there was some issues. Again, the band was playing, really good band, by the way. They sounded amazing. I didn't want to hear them that night.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating. You're sitting in a dark room all by yourself and you can hear Journey in the background.
Yeah.
Well, hey, when you're in that situation, you should not stop believing, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
so, I mean,
Yes.
Yeah. We did our best to make, the best of it, but reaching out to the owner afterwards and just saying, this was an amazing experience. And she emailed back and said, we're booked through the end of the year now. And,
wow.
if you come across anybody that's looking for any place to investigate, throw that out there. And I said, absolutely. We're going to try and put out a video. We put out a teaser. I want people to support these places. Pay these people who are putting in an effort to really do good by these buildings.
Right. And the thing is about these, as we call them, the pay to play places, is, a lot of that money does go to like the upkeep of these, very historical, at the bottom line is they're very historical kind of locations.
For sure.
Edinburgh Manor does, they have like school tours sometimes. So where, schools come out and they show them, the history of the location. So that does go to a good cause. So that is important to keep in mind.
I will invite you to a non-pay-to-play place on our farm where we have an old cemetery that was from the 1800s that is there. The families, I mean, this is, like I said, clear from the 1800s, headstones and everything there. We've actually, my parents have spent a lot of time cleaning it up, and it used to be in the middle of a timber, basically, and they got it all cleaned up, right?
Oh, cool.
And but it's there. We used to go up there as kids. It was like the scariest thing in the world. You go up there at like midnight when you had a slumber party, and like see who would stay there the longest. But next time you're in Keithsburg, swing on by Chaffer Farms, and we'll hook you up with a very creepy, out in the middle of a timber cemetery from the 1800s. So
that's awesome.
Sign us up.
Super cool.
It is, and then we've actually, fun little fact, but we created another little place just catty corner to that, and that's actually where all of my family members' ashes are spread. So we have another like memorial, and that's where all of us in the family are, my grandparents and my parents plan on being there and everything else. So anyway, but it's a super creepy spot where the actual 1800 cemetery is. So next time you're around, let me know.
Flint creates cemeteries. That's what the basis of that story was.
Yes, exactly.
I won't lie, it's one of the creepiest places I've been to on our place. Anyway,
I agree with you, man. I agree with you.
You've been there.
Many times.
You were getting ready to ask a question, I think, weren't you?
Yeah. So when you guys clearly you're planning on doing more of these, do you have like a great white buffalo type of like a top of the mountain place that you want to stay that you really want to get to or something like that? What's yours, Aaron? I feel like you have one for sure.
I have one specifically, but I was more kind of Griffin and his wife Rachel kind of planned this big summer road trip for us, as Griffin kind of mentioned earlier. And so that is super thrilling for us because they are kind of bigger known locations. And so for us who, have just recently started and, we're a smaller group and stuff, it's really cool to like be able to do that. And, so, but I want to stay in like the Stanley Hotel because like I remember watching The Shining. Griffin, I think you and I watched The Shining together in Grandma and Grandpa's like basement when I was too young to even be watching that. So
we're like, hey, we'll watch this.
Yep.
Watched The Shining for the first time this past winter randomly.
Yeah.
Okay, what'd you think?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. Like there's, I'm probably a little bit nitpicky. Chad probably makes fun of me on some of this, but there's a few plot holes in it, right? And he would probably argue and say like they didn't do the greatest job transitioning from the book to the movie. And so there were some plot holes that the actual Shining portion of it, I wish would have been like higher on the list. Yeah,
What
that's what you
Yeah.
think
What I'm
movie
saying.
off of? And it happened. Like you had to almost like really pay attention to even understand that it was happening. You know, so
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
like I wish they would have indulged in that a little bit more. But
Yeah, for sure.
Other than that, I mean that movie still holds up. So
Is it possible to go ahead, Clint?
no, I actually wanted to transition
Okay.
to, since we were talking about The Shining.
Yeah.
I would love to know, since we would be remiss if we didn't talk about movies on the Merco Movie Guys podcast, right?
Of
Yeah.
course.
And there are ample movies out there that talk about paranormal investigations, ghost hunting, whatever you want to coin this, right? I would love to know, and you talked about a couple of shows too. How accurate do movies and TV shows get this portion that you guys are talking about, from the scariest of movies? If you think about, we talked about White Noise, you think about The Conjuring, you think about Ghostbusters, right? Like all these different things, and we hit on a few TV shows. How accurate are these, and what are some of your favorite that revolve around this activity?
Honestly, there's very accuracy to any of that stuff. Hollywood plays it up so incredibly much. Obviously, they're there to sell tickets. They're there to make money. You know, nobody's gonna pay money to go watch 2 hours of a bunch of people sitting in a dark basement when nothing happens. So,
Yeah.
it's like The Conjuring. There's a real Conjuring house. There is a real house that's associated with that movie. Right. It's apparently haunted or whatever, but it's absolutely nothing like what the movies are. Obviously,
Yeah.
Same thing with like Amityville. All the drama behind that, whether it was faked or not, and everything. So, and as far as like the ghost hunting shows, there's probably a little bit of legitimacy to those, but it in reality, paranormal investigating isn't anything like these people that are like running out of the location screaming in the middle of the night because they're being possessed or anything like that. I mean, it's not like that. We certainly needed a break, at Keithsburg, but there's a very famous ghost hunter out there that seemingly gets possessed at every single investigation he's on, and becomes physically angry and starts punching walls and stuff like that. It's like,
yeah.
So, but yeah, as far as the legitimacy and accuracy goes, I would say very little. There's maybe a little bit of truth to some of it, but very little. So, but
what would be your favorite one out of all of those, though?
Well, yeah, I would say.
Go ahead. I was gonna say. I would say just scary movie in general, or whatever, however you want to classify it. But yeah.
What's your in the void question, Chad? That's what you should ask, except in the scary movie aspect.
What's that?
You're in the void question.
The question that I always ask everybody is, in a void, in a complete void, what would you? Because we ask this of all of our guests, even it doesn't matter what they're dealing with. In a void, what movie would you recommend to someone? So, like, you're just saying, like, you're walking into somebody just says, "Hey, what movie should I watch right now?" And you just recommend a movie at any point in time in a void. And this one should probably be a scary movie, but.
Right.
If it's not,
I am a total sci-fi geek. So if you were to force me to pick a movie, I'd probably say maybe Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan.
I love that.
Yeah.
The original then, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it would have to be because it was 3 for the second No, it was 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sorry.
Yeah. So, Wrath of Khan. I would say, like, for a spooky movie, probably the Exorcist, the original. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tough to beat.
Was I've seen the Star Treks long ago, like the originals. Was that the one with the whales?
No, that was 4.
That was 4. Okay, I just remember seeing that as a kid.
Whales?
My dad was a big Star Trek guy. I was a big Star Wars guy. So my Star Trek knowledge is very limited. But I just remember like Spock speaking to the whales, like this.
This is the one
like,
where
imprinted on me.
Spock dies in Star Trek 2, right?
Yes. Yeah, he does die in 2.
Yeah.
Well, spoilers.
Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
They find him, they revive him in 3, and then 4 he's talking to the whales. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would say Star Wars: A New Hope is a good contender too.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Griffin, how about yourself?
I would probably say Jurassic Park.
Love
Another
that.
good one.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Great movie.
I mean, the build up and the payoff to the Tyrannosaur paddock scene is just incredible.
Yeah.
That's a perfect
one of the
movie,
best-
is what it is. That's an
Yeah.
absolutely
Yes.
perfect movie.
Yeah, from start to
That,
finish.
that's one of those that very few movies hold up to today's standards when you go to you watch them, right? And you can turn on
Yes.
Jurassic Park and it's like, sure, you may be able to tell it was made a little while ago, but it holds up to today's standards. Like if that's released today, that is still a blockbuster.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps thinking about it right here. So.
There you go. Don't get sick on us, though. Don't get sick on us.
Nothing like that. So,
Aaron?
Gosh, I mean, as cheesy as it is, one of my favorite movies that really like influenced me is actually the Signs movie.
Oh,
Signs.
Yeah.
Okay, I was hoping somebody would say
fantastic.
that. I feel like that's another perfect movie. To me, that is one of the scariest movies of all time because it's real scary. It's like what happens when and I'm stealing your moment here, and I'm talking about more movies. We geek out.
That's what Chad does.
Yes.
That's what he does.
That's what I do. Yeah. But it just anyway, it gives you that feeling of like something terrible's happening and the whole world's involved in it. You're all together, but you're all alone, and it is terrifying.
But just like
that is such a good answer, Aaron.
I mean, I watched it, I think, like every day for like a summer straight. Like every night before I went to bed, I like knew every line. It was in a way a comfort movie for me. I think just like how deep it is, like how he loses his faith and then like everything happens and then he like regains it at the end. I think is just it's like I've been through stuff like that in my life and it really speaks to me.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I'm kind of chicken when it comes to like horror movies. No, thank you. Like, I mean, that's as much as it gets, but like one of my favorites, it's not like ghost related, but the original 1921 Nosferatu movie.
Oh, I still haven't seen that one. I bought that movie and I still have not watched it because I'm waiting for the right time to watch it.
Yeah.
I feel terrible.
Yeah. This past October, my partner and I went and they had like a showing of it with like a live like orchestra.
Oh,
and
that'd be so cool.
It was incredible.
Yeah,
that is cool.
Well, I will tell you, Aaron, you and I have something in common, and I'm a complete chicken when it comes to scary movies. I remember, I want to say it was The Conjuring. My wife and I tried to watch it, and I think it took us like 2 or 3 days, and we had to watch it like during the day with the lights on, like scary movies. My problem is like 3 nights of my life are gone because I'm not going to sleep. Like my dogs move in the middle of the night. I'm like, what was that? What was that? Something touched my leg, and she's like, yeah, dog. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Clint will scream while watching movies like that. Like he will holler because he's a drama queen, and Clint's annoying. So,
hey, I'm not even going to deny it. So
yep.
My wife and I, if she finds a glass of water laying around in the house, she'll be like, and she's like, hey. Are you drinking this one or does it have amoebas in it? That's our that's how instilled Signs is in our lives. So, but
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Swing away.
Yep.
So, Chad, I have one more question, and if you got another one after that, that's great. And then I figured we'll start to close here if that works. But I'm gonna just kick into my last question here that I have. At any point in time when you're going to these incredibly scary spots, and I loved the way that you described the lodge down in Keithsburg, like seeing it for the first time, you're like, wow, that's creepy, right? So you're going into these like super creepy areas, you're trying to look for paranormal activity here. Are you at all concerned that when you leave, you like bring energy or those beings with you and you're just going to be like chilling at your house and all of a sudden you hear get out somewhere on the radio? Like, are you worried about any of this? Because I'm fearful for you guys. Like, I'm fearful.
That is funny that you bring that up because after Keithsburg, I texted our mom and just like updated her just to let her know we were safe and whatever. And she immediately responded by saying, don't bring anything home. That is what she responded.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a concern depending on on what you believe. There are stories of spirits attaching themselves to you, following people home, invading their dreams and things like that. But as silly as it seems, at the end of every investigation, I make an effort to stand at the front door and verbally address the spirits and say, "Thank you very much for allowing us to come in here. I don't care what you do, but you cannot follow me home. Do not attach yourself to me. Do not attach yourself to anybody else in our group. You are to remain here or pass on." That
just gave me chills, man.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh.
Love that.
I do say, a prayer to myself as well, before and after the investigation. Everybody kind of has their thing. My wife has some cleansing crystals in the house here too. That's supposed to kind of keep, the atmosphere kind of cleansed and keep things at bay and stuff like that. And so, it just kind of depends on your belief system and what you believe and whatnot. But yeah, no, I do take precautions like that. I don't know, Griff or Aaron, if you guys, do similar things, but
No.
you don't care.
I don't.
Whatever.
Griffin's like, nah, I'm Gucci, man.
Yeah.
If they do, then you don't have to drive 6 hours to go see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too
It's a
concerned.
great line too. I don't know if we heard that or not, if everybody heard that or not, but if they did, we wouldn't have to drive 6 hours to see him.
Yeah.
That should be a mic drop right there. Like, really.
I'm
Put it
trying
on
to
a
bring them all back to
t-shirt.
one place. That way I don't have to travel as much. Like, come on now.
That's a cool. There should be like an explosion going off behind you or something at that point. That's a cool line.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about it. We have yet to really experience anything strange. We have 7 cats in our house, and most of them are black cats. So we've already got enough bad luck.
They're absorbing everything for you.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, they let us know if anything weird's going on.
All right.
What is it in
Yeah.
what is that movie with Keanu Reeves? My gosh.
Matrix.
No.
Speed.
John
Comic
Wick.
book one.
John
What's
Wick.
The comic book one where he plays a priest.
Constantine, yeah.
Yeah.
He says
Incredible
cats are
movie.
half
Yeah.
in, half out.
Such an
anyways.
underrated movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another good one.
Yeah, he's like, cats are good for transitioning because they're half in, half out, anyways, or something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. I
he does
forgot
say
about
that.
that line.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not too concerned about it. We'll deal with it if it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron, any concern over this?
I mean, not really. I mean, I did like do a little bow in front of the lodge before we left, but I mean, I had kind of mentioned it earlier, but I beat cancer actually this past year, and
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Kind of like told myself too, like, I mean, if I can beat cancer, like, I can make it through anything. So,
Such a great
Love that.
outlook. Love that.
Yeah. So I don't have any further questions other than I want you guys to tell us how to, and we'll put it in the description too, but how to find your YouTube channel, your Facebook page, anything else that you guys think is relevant. And I want to make sure that like the next time you guys like come down here, for sure, look us up because we'll buy you an Angry Eagle at the Eagle's Nest, and
We're not going in with you. I mean, I'm just saying that. Like, I'm not going to take that chance.
I
So
probably won't shake your hand.
I
because
have
I
no-
don't want any of that juju.
I have no cleansing crystals in my house, so
Right. Yeah.
we'll
I'm
bring
not
some
doing
sage
that.
for you. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
right,
that.
You guys can be the ones that padlock the door while we're inside.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So Facebook, Grey Duck Paranormal with a G or with an E. So Grey Duck Paranormal. Same with the YouTube. We do have kind of a blossoming TikTok channel too, I guess, if you want to call it that. But yeah, so Facebook and YouTube are definitely our primary socials out there.
And
so.
they're all Grey Duck Paranormal.
correct. Grey Duck
Okay.
Paranormal. Yep, with
It-
Grey
see-
with an E. So
The reason, Chad, is you don't have to worry about somebody else stealing that because nobody else in the country says gray duck. It's goose.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Touche.
that's the
Touche.
thing.
Yeah.
They have the market cornered on
Yep.
this.
Yes.
Love it. Love it.
I would say, as you all adventure out and do more things like this. Chad and I love doing like Halloween specials and things of that nature. I would invite you back on to the Merco Movie Guys podcast, and let's have some more of these great conversations, because I tell you what, y'all have been a hoot to talk to, and I love hearing just all of your experiences.
They're never going to come back if you say that they're a hoot, Clint. Who says hoot?
I thought that was okay.
Yeah,
Like Old
Anita
Nanny,
Chapper's
yeah.
the only person I've ever heard say hoot.
Well, there you go. That makes sense why I say it then. So
You're having a hoot with the Grey Duck Paranormal team. So there you go.
absolutely.
That'll be
Absolutely.
our line for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be back from our big September trip in time for Halloween.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And we'll have
Yeah.
stories from that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guarantee you.
Let's
So
let's plan on a Halloween episode then. So
I would absolutely love that.
that would be
Deal.
amazing.
well,
This was fun. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Our pleasure.
thank
guys,
you
our pleasure.
for jumping on here, and Aaron, Griffin, and Grady, thank you for taking time. Thank you for joining our podcast here. And
Don't forget Winter.
with that, the credits
And
are rolling.
Winter.
Yeah, thanks, Winter too. The lights
Oh,
are
yeah,
coming on.
Winter.
Winter too, yes.
She's down there.
And with that, the credits are rolling.
The lights are coming on. Wait a minute.
That's the end of the show.
We did it right.